Hi, I'm Kyle, and I will tell you about the 7 habits of highly successful hobby project managers. I am recording this in the first days of January 2018. Around this time, every year, a lot of people make New Year resolutions. Unfortunately, this usually does not work in any aspects of life, and it can actually be especially detrimental to a hobby. I will try to convince you that pushing yourself to get things done in your hobby is a bad idea. And then I will share with you my 7 habits of successful hobby project management. So basically what to do if you want to have hobby fun. In the background you will see pictures of some projects that would actually never get done if I stick to my New Year resolutions. Remember the wise words of Marshal von Moltke. No plan survives contact with the enemy. But let's start with a little disclaimer. In my professional life, I've been successfully managing internet projects for almost 20 years. You know, like launching platforms used by millions of people. At work, I live by the David Allen's book Getting Things Done, and what's more important, I have a reputation for getting things done actually. So this video is not about getting things done at work. It is about maximizing the beneficial effects of a hobby. From general fun and pure enjoyment to long-term psychological and spiritual benefits, believe it or not. And this distinction between work and hobby is absolutely crucial. Crafting hobbies are among the top recommendations for psychological hygiene. They can help in preventing depression, fighting anxieties or sensory issues, and many other brain malfunctions. Don't ruin their bountiful gifts by stamping them with feelings of pressure, guilt, and this general looming feeling of the need to push yourself harder. And don't get me wrong, I don't advise sitting all day on a couch and be all talk, no action. On the contrary, this is a crafting hobby and I think of it in terms of artifacts it produces. I just recommend switching how you approach your hobby and being more agile, relaxed and fresh about it. So my first advice is to treat your collection of unpainted models as a so-called backlog. Don't feel bad about having a large one, as in fact the larger the backlog is, the better it is. A huge backlog gives more chance to pick better hobby projects from it. It creates in a way a positive hobby Darwinism, where only the projects fittest to your desires get to consume your precious time. This is also why I am showing you the pictures. These are the projects which would not have happened if I sticked to my plans. Fortunately, I did not. My second advice is to work in sprints. This is also a term from Agile Project Management. Pick some models you can finish in a 2-week run. You have a good chance of finishing them before you get bored. Still, if you lose heart in the middle of it, throw it back to the backlog. Don't feel bad about it. It is not your work or chore. It is meant to give you the best hobby fun per hour possible. Nevertheless, when you think of a 2-week run, it is often just a gentle touch rather than a push to get it past the finishing line. At least in terms of a minimal viable product. So a tabletop quality you can improve upon in a later sprint. Third, divide large projects into chunks you can wholly eat. This is closely related to the idea of 2-week sprints. If a project looks daunting, divide it into smaller parts. What works best is if those parts are what is called a minimal viable product, so something that is usable after the sprint. For example, fully paint a unit of 10 Space Marines rather than base coating 10 units of them. When you work on a large model, paint it to the tabletop standard in the first sprint, varnish it, and then in some future sprints pimp up the model step by step. My fourth advice is to cherish what you have achieved, not dwell on what you could have achieved. The pleasure you get from a finished project lingers for years after it's done. This significantly raises your, let's call it, total hobby fun per hour score. Don't throw it away and waste time dwelling on rejects. Remember that the unfinished hobby projects are not your failures, but rejects you found not worthy pushing forward. The decision to abandon projects might have been done unconsciously and your body gave its assessment in the form of you feeling bored. That is okay. Enjoy the finished projects instead. If you do a project for an event, focus on the fun the event will bring. This works for tournaments, shows, Fate of Connor type campaigns, etc. If the pain of finishing models is greater than the pleasure of the event, your body tells you the event is not worth it. Fortunately, usually it is the other way around and you will end up with great projects done. Advice number 6. Find some new approach to rekindle the love. Some projects just need time to grow in your mind, so let them grow with you. Come back to them after a year looking through the lens of new experiences, ideas and game rules. Maybe you will discover that now you want to add a silly hat to a model, or you have an idea for a rad freehand banner, and this changes your attitude toward the project entirely. And finally, number 7. Backlog is meant never to be empty. Actually, an empty backlog is a bad backlog. Many people make New Year resolutions to get everything painted. You will not and you must not have everything painted. This will ruin your backlog, actually, and the freedom of choice it gives you. Accepting this is very liberating. You should try it. Thank you for watching and remember, have fun with your hobby.